Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Figma Attack on Titan Levi figure. Basically the same figure as Aaron, but it's not quite the same, so I thought I would go ahead and do a review. I'm going to explain what all the parts are, but then I'll post some photos at the end to show them in use. So if you're curious how some of these things work and you want to see that, then just stay to the end of the video and you'll see him in some poses in a slideshow format. First thing I want to do is just look at the figure itself, and then we'll go through the accessories. So obviously he has a unique head sculpt, and they did a very good job with this. The hair is sculpted very nicely, the face looks exactly the way it should, and then I like the way that they did like the different color for kind of like the shaved part of his hair, or the buzz cut. And then of course he has interchangeable faces, but I'll get to those in a little bit. The articulation for the head, I'll just show you. We have a ball peg where it connects inside at the top of the head. Then there's a hinge, which is this big ball right here in the middle, and then a peg where it goes down into the neck. So you can really pose it around however you want to, no problems at all. Then the neck is actually connected. It should be just a ball peg. Let's I can't really get to it, so I don't want to pull that off right now, but it should be just the neck is connected via ball peg. It might have a hinge like this in there, but you don't get that much range of motion out of it anyway, but it does move around, so that's good. And I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can pull this off. I don't think it mentioned that in the instructions, but I think you can take off the scarf if you want to. Yeah, it doesn't say so, but I bet you could do it. Do it at your own risk though, of course. And then for the shoulders, standard Figma design, the shoulder ball hinge. This thing right here is connected to the torso with just a ball peg, just like the neck joint was connected to the head, so a ball peg in there. Then this is a hinge, of course, with a peg sticking straight down. So that gives us our bicep swivel and all of our shoulder articulation. So no problem posing this guy at all. The jacket is sculpted in a softer material, and it has the little cuts in there to provide for the range of motion, so that's pretty good. And the level of detail in the little logos on his shoulders and on the chest and on the back, that's all done really well. The paint applications, the actual paint applications, they leave a little bit to be desired, but at least they're there. You know, they're a little bit sloppy. You can see some silver hanging over there. It is nice that they are painted, but it's not the best paint job like on these straps on his hips. It's not the greatest, but it's still pretty darn good. For the elbows, we have a standard hinge, but we get almost a 45-degree bend out of it. And then you can also swivel and rotate on either one. You're going to get more out of the swivel for the bicep, just because there's more room, and then you can't really rotate the forearm that much on there just due to the shape of the sculpt. For the wrist, it's just a hinge that swivels at the wrist, or at the forearm and at the hand, so you can move that around like that. Course, like that, and then you can rotate the hand around on there, so you're going to get a pretty good range of motion out of that. For the torso, let's see what we're actually working with, and it doesn't want to come out, so that means it's an actual ball peg and not just a standard peg. So there's a ball peg in there. I don't believe there's a hinge in this one, so it just feels like a standard double ball peg. You get pretty good range of motion out of it, though it could be a little bit better. I think a little bit side to side, forward and back's okay. And then of course we have the rotation. And then down here I should be able to, no, I'm not going to bother, I don't want to break this guy. So usually for their hips, and I don't think his are any different, doesn't look like it, for their hips and waist it's a three-way ball peg. So there's a ball peg for each hip and then a ball peg going up to the torso. So you can rotate the torso around like this and lean it forward and back, side to side, whatever you want to do. And then the hips, you can see the ball peg right there. So you can rotate that socket around that ball peg however you want. Then the thigh will actually rotate around that socket even more. And he has a cut joint in his hip, so you can get plenty of range of motion out of this guy's hips. And then of course his little skirt thing is split and soft, so you can pose him pretty well. You know, there's going to be some limitations, but you shouldn't have too much trouble posing this guy. Then the knee is just a standard Figma knee joint, which is just like the elbow, just a standard hinge. But you get pretty good range of motion. It ends up being about 90 degrees, and then you can rotate the lower half of it at least a little bit too, so that's pretty good. Then the ankles are the same type of joint, just a hinge, so forward and back, no problem. You can rotate it around to give him an ankle rocker, so that's pretty good. And then he has a toe joint also, which works pretty darn well. And then the boots are sculpted on the bottom, so that's nice. Everything is sculpted pretty well. All of the straps and buckles are all sculpted. They're all painted. Very nicely done. It could be a little bit better in the paint department, but I'm not going to complain about that because it is actually painted in the first place, so that's pretty good. Let's take a look at the accessories he comes with. First things first are the basics. Comes with a standard Figma display stage, 3 hinges, and then we have also this additional little peg just to put an angle on there. So not too much to talk about there. Baggie for the accessories. We always get one of those with Figmas. You already saw the instruction sheet, so we're not going to do that. We have the nice tree of hands. We'll talk about those now. You saw that he has a fist for either side. Then of course we have jazz hands, left and right. Standard gripping hands, left and right. The sword gripping hands, so that you can put the fingers in the little triggers there for the left and right. Then we have 2 more open hands. Now there's something interesting about these, and maybe mine's a defect, I don't know, but the peg for this hand goes up into the thumb area instead of going straight forward. So I don't know why that's like that. I'm thinking, I don't know, this one's not like that, this one is. I don't think that was bent like that before I put it on the hand, or put the hand on it. So if anybody can comment on that, does your second set of open hands have the peg hole at a very severe angle? If it does, let me know, or if it doesn't, let me know, and I will contact Good Smile and get that sorted. So we have 8 spare hands right there. You already saw the 2 fists, and then he has 2 additional hands, which are for holding his sword upside down. So you can put it in that way, and then his 2 other fingers will go in the little trigger guards. So that's cool. And then we get a spare wrist joint. So that covers the hands. Let's talk about the faces. You saw the standard face, the kind of solemn looking face. Then of course we have the angry action pose face. And we have this upset looking face with a shadow painted on his forehead. So that's kind of cool. And then what else do we have? Okay, let's talk about this. We have the cape, which is pretty well done. I like the way they do the capes for these guys. They put the insignia on there. Then this actually pegs in. You can peg through the cape into the back to hold it in place. I guess I'll just show you real quick. Why not? Why not? So you put this over, and then you can see how that peg hole lines up, and you can peg this in, if I can get it out of the package, and that will hold the cape in place like that. And then of course you're probably going to want to put the head back on, and now he looks even more awesome. I kind of wish they gave you 2 capes, a down one and a flowing one, but most of the time you're probably going to have them posed in a rather dynamic pose anyway, so that's okay. We're going to leave the cape on. He also comes with, of course, his omnidirectional maneuvering gear, or your 3D maneuvering gear, someone told me. I just watched the show and I can't remember. I think they said omnidirectional maneuvering gear, but whatever. Let's put that on him and see how that works. Now it looks really complicated and kind of a pain in the butt, and it's not complicated, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. We're going to try to go for it anyway. So that's just going to peg in to the back, right in that harness right there. Be very careful. You know what? We're going to take the cape off. Put the cape on last. I think it's probably easier to do it that way. Just throw that over there because I'm stupid. Alright, now we're going to put this in here. Be very careful as you're pegging all this stuff in because it's a bunch of fragile pieces. And then these, not his arms, these peg in to the belt. Okay. And okay, get that in there. These are not hinges, by the way. This whole section, not hinged. Don't screw with this. It's all glued together. Don't try to pose that. That doesn't get posed. Why won't that go in? Once you get that in there, you're going to be pretty much set. Okay, for the sake of the review, we're going to call that done. And then these guys peg in down here. Once you get it put on, once you get the back part put on, everything else kind of just falls into place. While I have this off, I'll show you. This is actually a ball peg where it connects to his hip, so that'll be able to pose around a little bit. And then these, of course, are loose. So it's not going to be that big of a deal getting him posed once you have it all put together. Just be careful as you're doing it. Okay. They're not actually round pegs, so you're going to have to line them up just to get them in. But, oh, come on, get in there. See how the peg is not actually round, it's kind of ovular or flattened, it has some flats on it. If you don't line it up right, it's not going to go in, but there we go, that'll do. Okay, so that's the gear, that's how it goes on there. And then we have one other thing for the gear. We actually have a couple things, but right now I'm going to talk about this one. So this piece comes off, do that carefully. And it's always a pain in the butt to get these. Oh, I'll just leave it on then, fine. So that comes off, and then this one goes on instead, and that gives you the little jet stream, and then that can actually peg into the base so that you can pose them in the air, and you'll see that in the photos at the end. Oh, so much to talk about with this guy. Okay, now these can connect to two places. One, they can connect to up in here, up in that shoulder holster. You can just peg them in up there, like, of course, it's tricky to do if you have big hands, but you can peg them in up there. Okay, I'm not going to show you because I can't get it in, but it goes in there. Or you can peg it in to the handles of the swords. Of course, that's what most people are going to have them doing most of the time. So that's pretty good. And then you can also remove the swords if you need to. If you watch the show, you know that they do that. So he can hold the swords while it's connected, so that's cool, good for posing. And then, of course, you're thinking, well, there's one last thing, and there is. And it's actually a couple things in one. And we have to have the little spear rope thingies. I don't remember them ever actually referring to them by any sort of name. So these peg in right here. Okay, you get one for either side. I'm just going to do the one to show you guys for now. So those peg in on either side. And then you have also these. And last time I reviewed one of these figures, I couldn't get this on in the right location, because if you look, it's not the same exact shape, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it on. But these do just peg on one where, okay, it's not that one, it should be this one, I hope. Otherwise I'm 0 for 2 in the review department. Yeah, I got it. So that pegs on there to just look like a little burst of gas. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then, we're not quite done, but wait, there's more. We also have hooks where if you want to actually hang them from something, I'm not going to unbag this because I'm never going to use them, for at least not in the foreseeable future. These replace, where'd it go? You can take these out, don't use these, and use the ones that are actually rope. So you have the little black peg right there that connects into the shooty part, we'll call it the shooty part. Then we have clear hooks for where you're going to actually connect it. So that's pretty nifty if you want to do some more realistic posing, and then you get some spare rope if you need it. So that is the giant batch of things that come out of this package. I'm not going to do any more in terms of video review. We're going to put some pictures up at the end and you guys can see what it looks like. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.